me to clean my room.
Shalom, everybody, and welcome to Mishpachah. I'm Debbie Good, and Mishpachah is family, where we do several different things during the year to show what families can do to learn biblical truths together. Now, the last time we were together, we talked about Holocaust Remembrance Day. This time we're going to talk about another special holiday that's not found in the Bible, but should still have very special meaning to us. That would be Israeli Independence Day, or Israel Independence Day, sometimes called Yom Ha'atzmaut. There are several things you can do with your children to celebrate the statehood of Israel, the independence that Israel has. I tell you what, Joe is here with me today. Why don't we ask Joe to give us a brief history of Yom Ha'atzmaut?
Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israeli Independence Day, certainly dates back to 1948. 1948 is when Israel became, for the first time in 2,000 years, independent state. It was declared in Tel Aviv by David Ben-Gurion, but immediately, when he declared the Jewish state, immediately there was war. There were 5 Arab nations that attacked. There was tremendous casualties for the Israelis, but they triumphed. They won the war. In a sense, the war has never ceased, but they were victorious. They ended up, when the ceasefire was called, their territory had doubled. And to this day, each year, we remember the day that independence was declared, the day that David Ben-Gurion declared that state. And there are great celebrations in Israel. I was in Israel, Debbie, I'm going to say 8, 9, 10 years ago. And I was there on Independence Day. It was right at the end of it.
And was there a lot of
what really thrilled me is going from Jerusalem, from Ben-Gurion Airport, which is just outside Tel Aviv, into Jerusalem. That road back at the War of Independence was a very narrow road, and the Jews that were in Jerusalem were cut off, and they had no food, they had no ammunition, they had no medical supplies. It was just a terrible situation. And Jews in Tel Aviv volunteered to drive trucks up there, knowing that most of the trucks would be destroyed, that the Arabs that controlled the hills would just shoot fire down on them and so forth. And, you know, when we take trips to Israel, we always look, they have memorialized or preserve those trucks.
That's right.
They still sit there on the highway, on the
flowers.
freeway, the modern freeway, and on both sides you see where they were destroyed, where they fell, and many people died. Well, on Independence Day, they go out and they drape them in Israeli flags because a price was paid for the state of Israel.
Let's talk about the Israeli flag. We're going to show it a real inexpensive way that people can work with their children on making the flag. You take some regular white construction paper, and then I have a little bit of blue construction paper as well. And this, I'm going to guess, is about the size of, 8.5 by 11. And then get some dowels, some very thin dowels, cut approximately in half. I understand that they're not completely cut in half, not completely even, but it doesn't make too much difference. And what we're going to do is glue the paper to the dowel. But first we need to kind of roll the paper to get it to where it'll go around the stick and just kind of soften that little edge a little bit so that it'll be a lot easier to work with, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now since you're usually, you've usually got your nose in the books, or you're usually busy taking notes on something, you don't do things with your hands very often, so I'm going to let you.
I'm not a good hand person.
That's all right, so I'm going to let you take care of this, okay? Now, got that softened a little bit. Now let's take the blue construction paper, and if we use about the same length, we might cut off a little bit of the edge.
Have you shown them a flag?
Well, why don't you show them the flag while I cut this down just a little bit.
This is an Israeli flag. Our flag here is kind of beat up. It looks like it's been through a battle or two in the past, but the flag is very interesting because you notice that it's white and it has a blue bar and a blue bar, and that it has a Star of David, what we call the Magen David, in the middle. Well, the two blue stripes come from the Jewish prayer shawl called the Talit. And when they had to choose a flag, they said, let's make it after the emblem of the Jewish people all these years, our prayer shawl. And very interesting, the Star of David, there's 6 points to it, and in the Bible, in the Psalms, we're told that the star and the Star of David is a symbol of the Messiah. And so it's really unique. In all the flags of the world, this flag itself will stand for prayer.
That's
it stands for Messiah.
That's right, because it does actually have something to do with our biblical teaching also. And for example, the United States flag, which we hold so dear, it does not have really a biblical principle behind it. The blue stands
for colonies and
the blue stands for purity. You know, we used to learn that in school. But anyway, I cut down one sheet of the construction paper a little bit, and what I've done is I've cut 2 strips. They are somewhat, but not completely even. And we're not going to take them all the way to the edge. As a matter of fact, we might have a little bit of an overlap. But Joe, let's let you take care of it. If you want to use the cutting board here.
What do you want me to do?
Well,
just
I want you to take regular
Elmer's glue,
school glue, any type of glue. And let's see, I have some that has a line on it. So let's use that to glue. Why don't you just kind of dot a little bit of glue. Now, we're going to find out what kind of a student you were in school to see if you were one of those that globbed it on and smeared it all over. You were a globber.
I was a globber.
Well, that somehow does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's not going to go all the way down to the bottom, but you don't want it to go too close to the middle. That's right. That's good. That's about right, I think. Is it about even? Now consider that if an 8-year-old were doing this, it might not be completely straight. But, you know, we're not going to do any worse or... than an 8-year-old probably. And again, we find either side will do, so let's glue that one. Then we can trim up the ends later on. And in the meantime, I'm going to take out a blue marker. Well, if I can get it out of the package. Here we go. Let's see what kind of a job you can do gluing that on first.
Okay. Question is, how much glue am I going to get on how many different places?
Well, you know, the wonderful thing about this particular type of glue, they must have seen you coming as a child because it is washable. And once it gets wet,
all right, how's that?
That's pretty good. I'm just going to trim off the excess right there. Okay. Now, neat part is
Nothing
we draw.
harder than that, right?
That's right. And this does begin to take on the appearance of the Israeli or the Jewish prayer shawl. Now what we do is we take a blue marker. It needs to be blue because remember the flag is white and it's blue on white. And I just happen to cut out a triangle. It's not a complete, good form triangle, but we want to go right in the middle. Now keep in mind you're going to have this edge that wraps around a dowel. So let's see if you can make a Star of David right there. Let me get some of this stuff out of your way so that...
So we're going to just follow the outline of the triangle that you made.
Yes. Well, you're going to actually do it twice,
Right, because I got to turn it upside down.
That's right.
In order for it to make a star.
Mm-hmm.
And something like this.
Now you can actually draw the star rather thick if you want to, but if you notice in the little flag that we have over here, the borders are actually going to be a little bit thicker than the actual Magen David or the Star of David that goes in the middle.
You know, Debbie, I'd like to get my Bible in just a moment and show the 2 verses that show about the Magen David being the Messiah.
Well, you know what? Let's do that in a minute. We have a lot of things we're going to have to take care of. I think, well, I'm probably partial. I'm probably not very objective, but I think it's beautiful. I think it's wonderful. I think you do very well for an 8-year-old.
I did, okay.
Okay.
For an 8-year-old,
Now here comes the hard part.
Oh.
Okay, let's glue the stick. Now, if you want to, you can put an emblem at the top, but do you know that, for example, this little flag has a little top piece. It's like a little point or something, but on the American flag, legally what's supposed to go on the top of the flagpole is the American eagle.
Uh-huh.
Now, on the Israeli flag, you're actually supposed to put a little Star of David. So somebody might be able to take like a little pipe cleaner, do that, but it's not really necessary for our purposes. If you want to finish that off, you may. But let's have you take your dowel and let's see if you can finish this up real quick. Let's see just how creative you can be. You might want to get a little bit, get it on different sides. There we go. All right. That's
You think that's enough?
That's probably enough. And see, I say it's enough, but you keep going.
I know.
You're just like that little bunny that keeps going and going and going. Yeah. Okay, and then you have to kind of roll this around and
hold it for 2 hours.
Yeah, that ought to keep you busy, right?
Yes.
Because you didn't have anything better to do today, right? Okay.
All right.
All right. Now,
Are we all glued up? Can I move the glue?
Yes. Well, we're coming apart a little bit, but we're not holding it as long as we really should. But what you do is you just stick that in. You make 2 or 3 of these. You stick that into some styrofoam, and like I said, you have another one coming out the other end. Maybe put some flowers or whatever, and you've got a nice little centerpiece for a dinner. Speaking of dinner, by the way.
I think we're going to cook.
That's right. This is the day. We're going to do something really, really neat and special today. If you're talking about Israel and you want Israeli food, then the most essential ingredient you're going to need or item for your table is going to be the falafel. It is the Israeli short order item. Now, when we told our children that the falafel was like the American hamburger, they were very upset with us when they were expecting a meat sandwich and instead got the falafel, which is actually very organic. It's all vegetable. But the falafel, like I said, is the short order item. There are falafel stands all over Israel. I have with me a very special book that I purchased in Israel. It's a nice little tourist type cookbook. It's probably not one of the finest cookbooks ever made, but I think it just kind of captured some of the different tastes from all over the country. It's called The Melting Pot. And let's see who wrote it. It's by Tammy Lehman Wilczek and Miriam Bloom. But of course, it has a falafel recipe in it, and we're not going to follow the recipe from scratch because it would just take too long. But I want to mention some of the ingredients that they would find, and I will print this recipe out for our website. And
people can go to our website, and you'll be able to find whatever songs and recipes we use. We're going to post them week by week so that you can go in and have those, print them out, and use them for your own kitchen family. Okay.
Well, in falafel, what we're going to find are some washed chickpeas. So these are like dried beans. They're not big. They're smaller than a dime.
You buy them washed, or you?
Oh, no, you have to wash them, and you soak them with a little bit of baking soda, and that cuts down on the gas factor. Okay?
Now, there's another name for chickpeas, isn't there?
Garbanzos.
Garbanzo
beans. Garbanzo beans or chickpeas. Let's see. It's seasoned with coriander, garlic, parsley, cumin, and cayenne, black pepper, and various items, So anyway, we will write the recipe down. But wonderful enough, you can actually get an instant recipe. And by the way, or a little ready-to-make mix version of it. This is a type of falafel mix that takes very little effort to put together. And I've already have a bowl of this mixed up. And so we're going to throw this together because I felt it was more important to show the essence of the spirit of how it goes together rather than the actual ingredients.
Now, you don't have to special order this. It can be bought in your local grocery stores.
But I'll tell you where to find it. A lot of times you're not going to find it in the kosher section. You might find it in the vegetarian, the dietary section, because these type of these companies are going to thrive on business of people who want to
eat healthy.
Eat healthy. That's right, because they're vegetarian. Okay, so anyway, before you get started on actually frying the falafel, let's mention a couple other things that we have to go with it. One is some hummus. Now, you can buy hummus already made up in tubs, a lot of times in the supermarket, the cold section.
Right. By where they have the cheeses and everything, a lot of times they'll have hummus.
That's right, but you can actually buy a dry version and mix it together. Of course, you can make your own by grinding up the chickpeas, okay?
Mm-hmm. A lot of times they put like red pepper in them. There's different
Another item we use is sesame seed tahina, which is it's a paste that's made from roasted sesame seeds. And once we season that really is quite tasty. Now, in order to make falafel, you have to have something that goes into the falafel. I'll tell you what, before we get started on that, let me go ahead and turn on our stove.
Okay.
And we'll add some oil to our pan. We want to get the skillet nice and hot. And we're going to add a little bit of oil because we're going to do some frying today.
Okay.
Okay. Now, while that's heating up, let me mention the other items we have up here. We have some cut up cucumbers and some cut up tomatoes. And I've never understood this about Israelis, but they like their vegetables cut very, very small. whenever we make, salad type items, it's going to be chopped very fine.
Okay, chop it fine.
Okay, so I think we're ready to go to the stove and get to work cooking, don't you?
Okay, what do I need to do? I've never cooked falafel.
Well,
I've watched it, but you're going to have to lead me by the hand.
Well, basically, I guess the thing for me to tell you to do is do nothing. Because I'm not so sure I want somebody who has no experience with frying. But, you've had a lot of it.
I've got a lot of experience with frying, okay?
That's right. You're the French fry man. You're the French fry king. That's right. That's right. Yeah, you have a lot of experience with frying. Okay, so we're going to let the oil get hot. But what we do is we take this mixture. This is very similar to how we made matzo balls. We take the mixture, roll it up.
Roll it into a ball.
That's right.
Over in Israel, I've got a friend that has a falafel shop, and he's also a war hero, so it's special time when we talk about Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israeli Independence Day. But he has a little dipper. It's like an ice cream scoop that you buy over in Israel, and it's for making falafel.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, that is the short order item. They have these falafel stands. So
Everywhere.
naturally, they have the tools to do this with over here. You're not going to find items like that so much over here, although, for example, melon ballers could be used, something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a melon baller.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's see if we can get several in. Our stove hasn't completely heated up the oil yet. We're going to let that just get started, and we'll make up several because, one of the things
You know who
I realized,
loves falafel?
Who's that?
It's Al.
Uh-oh.
Al Cooper loves falafel. In fact, several of the ones on the staff that have been to Israel with us, heard them saying they want to know how many falafel you were going to make.
Well, Joe, let me tell you something. A few years ago, my sons came to me and said, I want to take like tech arts in junior high school. I didn't know what tech arts was. I thought it was like shop. They told me it was like domestic tech arts. And I thought, no, that sounds like home ec. I thought, no son of mine is going to take home ec. That's horrible. But then I found out the reason he wanted to take home ec. He told me, he said, all the guys are taking it. I could not understand why. And the reason was because they would cook in there and get to eat what they were cooking. And that made sense to me all of a sudden. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm hoping that some of the staff is going to enjoy doing this program because they'll get to eat whatever we cook and have left over. So, anyway, we're going to let that bubble just a little bit. Let me wipe off my hands. And let me tell you the rest of what goes into our falafel that makes it a real special little sandwich. Let me get this little residue off right here. Okay, in order to make the falafel sandwich, you need pita bread. This is a special, yes, a special pocket bread. Yes, which I usually keep right in this drawer right over here. This knife will do. Okay, now you can chop off just a top edge of it. I'm going to go ahead and cut them in half. I just think it'll be a little bit easier to handle. And of course, it'd be really nice if these were warmed up. But I don't suggest people to do is to wrap them up in foil for a few minutes and stick them
nice
in
and warm.
That's right, make them nice and warm and soft and very pliable. Okay, but cut them in half, and we'll fix 2 of them. What do you think? Okay.
Now, what I would do to warm them up is I would take about a half a cup of water and stick them in the microwave for about 30 seconds with a half a cup of water. And that'll give them a freshness. They'll be warm and be fresh, just like they came from the bakery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, our
oh yeah, we're starting.
Our oil. Oh, I'm smelling. It's the most wonderful aroma from the spices that are in these falafel balls. Let me just try. Really, once they get into hot oil, it just takes them a matter of 2 or 3 minutes to cook. It's very, very
they're
fast.
They're kind of like
that's
hush
why they're
puppies.
the fast. Well, that's why they're the fast foods. Well, except that the spices make them a little bit different. And whereas a cornmeal is what makes up a hush puppy, this is actually a bean product. It's going to be full of protein, a lot of protein. But the seasonings are just wonderful. I really wish everybody could smell what's going on in there. Okay, now let's take a break again, and let's go back to the other items we're going to be putting on. If you will pass me a couple of the forks and spoon over there.
Okay, here we go.
We've got some hummus, and this hummus is Now it's just dried out a little bit because it's been sitting here for a few minutes. You know what I'm going to do to freshen it up a little bit?
Did you make this from the hummus mix?
This is from the hummus mix. Now you can buy it already made. I'm just going to put in just a little bit of lemon juice, and and you know what? Because it's a bean product, also I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of salt.
So you can kind of even play around it with it. Would cinnamon or anything like that ever be good with hummus?
To be perfectly honest, I don't think I would put cinnamon in hummus. Peppers, garlic particularly. Garlic would just be wonderful. And but like I said, you just want to, rather than using water to wet it down, I'm just using the lemon juice because I feel like that'll give it a little bit of zest.
You know,
now, by the way, I did mix it with water before it got to this stage. Okay, so we're not just using lemon juice alone. We're just using it to freshen it up. And like I said, it kind of gives it a little bit more of a tart, tangy taste.
In Israel, we take just a piece of pita bread, and we'll just wipe the hummus onto the bread and eat it like that. It's just one of the most common things.
It's a wonderful
every
snack.
meal. It's great.
It's a wonderful snack. Okay, and let's see how these are doing. And let me turn them over very quickly. And while I'm turning over, let's see, Joe, if you could go get me several tablespoons of some water.
Okay.
And let me...
Tablespoons of water?
That's right. Oh, yeah, they're turning really nice and brown now. And it's very, very nice. I don't know if the camera can get this close to the stove to show it, but it's really a wonderful, wonderful color, golden brown. And we'll let that sit a little bit on the other side. And if you have a little bit deeper skillet where you can do this in, that you can cover the balls almost with the oil, so they get a real nice deep fried taste. It's real nice, very, very, very pretty. Let me move this sauce out of the way into the rest of the falafel mix. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. You take some paper towels on a plate, because you want to drain anything that's been fried in oil. And I'm going to start lifting these out a little bit at a time. Oh, yes, that's very, very nice. And we'll just let these sit for just a second and cool. Get them out of the oil. I tell you what, Joe, since you were closest, can you turn off the stove so that we can get the oil turned off?
Which one of these is it?
That would be it. Turn it all the way to where it says off.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay, and let me set the oil back a little bit. So
this is 4 tablespoons.
That's about what I needed. Exactly what I need, as a matter of fact. Now, let's set this down on our counter so we can see what else we're going to do to build the falafel sandwich. Now, the tahina that I mentioned a while ago, it really, when it's in the can, when you buy this in the can, somebody said a while ago it looked like glue or varnish. It has to be mixed up a little bit because the oil and the paste separate. And so it comes out rather thick and globby. But what we're going to do is mix equal parts of water with it.
Okay.
Okay, so we had about 4 tablespoons of the tahina sauce. We're going to add some, 4 tablespoons of water. And if you would, let's see, where is that little spoon? Well, I'll use this fork right here to kind of mix that and get that all evenly spread. And basically, this is going to be used as sort of a condiment. It's not going to be one of the vegetable items. See, it's breaking up quite a bit. Now, we also want to have some taste to it. Garlic, again, would just be wonderful, but let's put a lot of salt. I'm just sprinkling because we did this in a small amount. We're just making, a serving or 2 size. But salt, a lot of pepper. And again, this is to taste. Garlic would be really good. And just to give it just a little bit of a...
We're back to the lemons.
That's right. Just a little tinge of lemon juice. And that will help thin it out a little bit also. And mix that up. Yeah, that would be very, very nice, drizzled on a sandwich. Now, another thing that Israelis do with their falafel is they will put ground up cabbage on it. It actually resembles coleslaw. For example, the picture on the front of the book had some falafel on it.
Okay, we better load this up.
Okay, let's load this up and let's go. All right, so we're going to take about 3 balls to put in each side of our
Let me hold
pita.
this
Yeah,
open
why don't
for
you
you?
hold that? That's 1, 2,
I think you're only gonna
and
get
let's
2 in this one.
All right. Well, we made bigger balls,
Okay.
and then we put a little tiny bit of hummus and kind of spread that in because that's going to give it a lot of its.
Some cucumber?
That's right. Let's see if I can put some cucumber in there.
All right.
And
some
then the tomato. And are you ready? We're going to put the tahini. I'm going to let you be the royal taster today.
Oh, no. I won't be able to talk if I do that.
Oh.
Okay.
Come on. Let's see what you can do. Let's try it.
All right.
Here we go. The moment of truth. Is it good?
It's real good.
It's wonderful. Let me try a taste. That's good.
It is good. Anyway, this is falafel, and this is something that you can do. You don't have to wait till Yom Ha'atzmaut in Israeli Independence Day to try this out. It's something to have some friends over, try something new. You bring a little bit of Middle Eastern influence in. Put a movie on. There's several good movies about the War of Independence and times to remember. Cast a Giant Shadow with Kirk Douglas. You mentioned Kirk Douglas last week.
Or Exodus by Leon Uris, the book
yes,
and the movie.
about the building of the state of Israel. So, make you a flag, sing some songs.
Have a movie night and make some falafel and just have a big celebration at home to commemorate.
And praise God that you live in the time when He has reestablished the state of Israel. It is part of our heritage along with the Jewish people and the people of Israel, and we have a part to rejoice in God before that. Join with your family as we join with ours. This is the Mishpachah Shalom.